How's it going, guys? I'm Zephyros, and welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be another hero spotlight where we'll be focusing on big man Brokkir over here. In my opinion, I think Brokkir is best tank in the game, right? So I'll show you why I think that. I'll show you how I build him, and all the areas where I think that you can use him. So let's get into it. Right, so I know I made a big statement saying that I think Brokkir is the best tank in the game. There will be some people who would argue that heroes like Garn, Torador, Cyrus could be considered the best. So if you look at overall contribution, then you start looking at the Lord bonus and things like that. Yeah, fair enough. You could have that argument, but for me, when I'm looking at a tank, I'm talking about their ability as a tank. When you place a tank down, they just need to hold that line, keep the enemy where you want them, so that your DPS can do its job, right? Um, so as a tank, if you take the Lord out of it, as a tank, for me, Brokkir is just undeniably king, right? It's so good. All the things that he can do, his base stats, incredible. He's part of a good faction when it comes to actually um sustainability. But one of the best things about Brokkir is he doesn't even need the Lord bonus to shine. Like I put in Guild versus Guild, for example, I put Brokkir in in most pretty much every team that I ever build Brokkir into. He's not associated with the Lord, but he's just that good. His base stats are that good that you don't need him to have that Lord affiliation. Um, let's get started with his stats, his base stats. His base stats are bonkers, right? They're just absolutely bonkers. So mine is at A5, right? And at A5, he's sitting at close to 30k HP, right, and over 4k defense. Compare him to some of these lords, right? Garn's base stats 28.4, right? So Brokkir is a clear 1.6k higher, and Brokkir is actually just slightly higher there as well. So 33 higher defense as well. So they're quite similar. Then you take a King Haas, right? Bearing in mind, King Haas is the lord of Brokkir's faction. Brokkir is clear on the HP, clear on the defense, no brainer. Torador. Obviously, Torador is more of an attacking kind of tank, but defense wise, Brokkir is clear. HP wise, again, Brokkir has a 1.6k margin on him, right? Look at Cyrus, 28.2 and 3.2. Brokkir's base stats are crazy good, right? So that alone, really good. Then you look at his skills, right? So Brokkir has a ton of freeze built into his kit. So his talent is that anyone who's within one tile vicinity of him basically gets a physical damage reduction and a damage reduction. So not only is he built really well, he's able to just make anyone around him more survivable, right? So to start with, it's the smaller version, it's just 10%, right? But anytime Brokkir is frozen himself, and there's a couple of ways that he can do that. So anytime he is frozen, he gives the big boy reduction, 30%, huge, right? Massive reduction. It just takes a third of all the damage, right? So we'll go into his kit and we'll see where these freezes proc. So his basic is just pretty standard for a defender. He just deals damage to one enemy, right? So he's just whacking away, building up his rage regen, right? Anytime someone's attacking him. His passive, whenever he receives damage, there's a 15% chance, obviously once skilled up, 15% chance that he'll inflict freeze on two enemies. So if he's blocking, you've just got a 15% chance. So if you've got four people attacking him, every single time they're attacking, that's 15%. So it's 15%, 15%, 15%, 15%. So like it's a cumulative, right? So it stacks up when you've got four people attacking him, right? And then if he's actually frozen, that increases to a 20% chance. So mm, it's actually it happens really, really often. Like the number of times in Guild versus Guild where Brokkir will be juggling like six, in some cases like seven kind of mobs, seven demon soldiers at a time is crazy. He's one of the most frustrating defenders to go against when you're trying to rush through, right? Then next one, his passive. When he receives fatal damage for the first time, he gains freeze and just becomes immune to all damage. So he just kills 12 seconds off the clock, right? Just like that. And again, when he receives that damage, he's freezing, right? So for 12 seconds, he's freezing, which means that he's doing this damage reduction, and he's also got this. He's got that 20% chance to freeze every time someone's attacking. So his 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 chance of doing it is actually pretty high. And then you've got his ultimate again, gains freeze himself, right? So 900 is not that bad. Obviously, once it's skilled up, right? It's not that bad for a defender. He's going to be taking a lot of hits, right? So he's going to be building up his rage fairly quickly. And he gains a shield, and this shield is huge, right? Bearing in mind his base stats, 120% of his max HP is pretty sizable. It's a pretty chunky shield, right? Um, and again, he will get this freeze and start throwing out freezes on anyone who's attacking him. So he's just got really good crowd control built into his kit on top of his sustainability. Then you look at his awakenings, right? So his awakenings, again, anytime his shield basically disappears, he just throws out freezes. So his A1 is amazing again for CC. Every time he ults, when his ult finishes, boom, five freezes. He's just juggling so many people again. A2, pretty standard, 1200 HP. A3, anytime he's inflicted with freeze, he just basically gets healed more and his shields are just bigger, right? So just makes him more tanky, more survivable. A4, again, pretty standard for a tank. All damage reductions 8%. So great, again, making him more survivable. And then his A5 is when Iceberg expires, which is basically his passive where when he dies for the first time, he freezes. And this basically just fully regens him. He just gets fully healed, right? So he's just so, he's just got such good survivability as a tank, right? There are so many areas of the game where you can use Brokkir. For me personally, anywhere where I need a tank, Brokkir is my first choice. Right, unless I'm running like an esotericist comp where I'll put Cyrus in, or I'm running a Nightmare comp and I'll put Torador in. Brokkir is my go-to, right? So the areas of the game where I still use him, even in my end game teams. I use him in Gear Raid 2. I use him in Gear Dungeon 1. I use him in Gear Dungeon 2. Void Rift, he's still in most of my teams. In Void Rift Epilogue, I used him. I still use him in my Guild versus Guild comps. He's my go-to tank in GVG. It's just honestly, any area of the game where you need a tank, Brokkir's your guy, right? So if you pull Brokkir, because he's on the banner right now, congratulations, you've got the best tank in the game, in my opinion. All right. So now I'll show you how to build him. Now this is a pretty easy explanation for me because this applies to pretty much every tank, right? The ultimates on tanks are so useful for keeping them alive, right? So you need HP, HP percentage, defense percentage, raid regen, and then if you can fit it in, bit of attack speed so that when he's being attacked and he's attacking back, he's just hitting quicker and he's cycling through his rage quicker, right? So you're going to see a trend here. Look, I've got him in Tempered Will. You don't need him in Tempered Will, right? This is obviously like end game. These are tier 3 end game pieces. Guardian set is the best on your tanks. You want them taking hits. You want them to have that damage reduction. So Guardian is basically the tier 2 version of this, right? Or tier 1 version, I should say, actually, of Tempered Will. So it just gives you the 15% damage reduction, and then Tempered Will basically means that for every person that he's blocking extra, he gets an extra 5%. So with his four blocks, if you have the right artifact on him, which I'll show you in a moment, you should have 20% extra defense on him as well, which is again amazing. So look, the pieces: HP, defense, raid regen. HP, defense, raid regen, flat defense. Right. Then defense. Now, I personally think that you should really have triple HP on all your tanks, right? The reason I have this defense piece on there, because it's a variant, gave me a bit of extra speed, and it's just got raid regen in there. It had all the substats I wanted as well, so I was like, you know what, I'll put this in on a great set, right? So that's the only reason I got it. Otherwise, I would be putting triple HP substats. So yeah, but look, defense percentage, HP percentage, raid regen, attack speed, HP flat, right? HP bonus, defense bonus, raid regen, attack speed, right? Would have been nice if this was flat HP or flat defense, but still decent piece. HP, raid regen, HP, defense. Again, would have liked if this was attack speed, but this was the best piece I've got, right? So, it's one of those things where it's pretty straightforward building your tanks. Look, you don't need to have it at 108. It is really hard to get this. The amount of farming I do, and I have only got one raid regen substat piece on a chest plate, on a breastplate, right? So it is so hard to get these. You have to farm you have to use hundreds of thousands of stamina. Well, I did anyway, hundreds of thousands of stamina just to get one piece. And then I really lucked out with the with this variant as well to get the raid regen on here. But if you can build them to 60 to 80% raid regen, get a bit of attack speed in there. You ideally want to be pushing 100k plus on the HP, and with a triple HP substat, that should not be a problem in with Brokkir. And then you want to be trying to push 10k plus on the defense as well. Artifact, every tank should be in Bastion Ring, right? If they are there to tank, to take hits, put them in Bastion Ring, right? There's not really many others. Some people try and argue that you should put Goddess's Grace on here. Nah. Bastion Ring, right? If they're your tank, you want them to be holding as many people back, and you want them to be staying alive as much as possible. So you want this physical and magical damage reduction. You want that increased block. Sorry, I didn't mention Immortal Codex. The Hellfire Emperor again, where I use Brokkir. I've put a guide out on him already, so feel free to give that a watch. But yeah, that is Brokkir, right? Like I said, I think he's the best tank in the game, but obviously I know people will disagree. But look, if you feel that I'm completely wrong in that, feel free to comment below. If there are any other areas of the game where you struggle, if there's any kind of nuances you want to know about his build, where you kind of want to know, sorry, pardon me, where you want to know where to tweak, um, just comment below. I try to reply to every one of the comments I get. So yeah, I'll be putting out a few more hero spotlights soon. So until then, catch you guys soon. Stay blessed.